So, my brother's pet theory is that the oversouls of the spirits keep evolving up to a point until they become Gundams. I don't know if that's true, but given the progression we've seen on the show and how everybody's becoming a robot apparently, like every spirit is becoming a robot, even if they're like 1,000 years old. Hey, it's as good a theory as everything, I guess. Hi everybody, Carla here. This is my fandom vlog where I talk about my fandoms or about fandom in general, and I know it's been a while. I know I've disappeared. I went back home for the holidays finally after 2 years of being, stuck in Australia. Due to the pandemic, I was finally able to go, and then I was going to still record stuff while I was at home. I was there for like 3 months or so. But then when I got there, I discovered that I didn't have a camera there for some reason. I don't know where my camera went. I used to have one. I used to record at home, right? You guys remember. It hasn't been that long, but like my camera just disappeared. And I was not going to go out and buy a camera for like 3 months. So I decided, well, I'm going on hiatus, I guess. Unexpectedly. But I'm back now, back in Australia, thank goodness. Vaccinated, boosted, all that good stuff. Classes start soon. I'm hoping everything will go well, but in the meantime I have some time, so I thought I'd record an episode to remind you guys that I'm still alive and I'm still here and I'm still doing this, apparently. I want to talk about the 2021 reboot of Shaman King, which is not over yet. I think it's still coming out in Japan, but it's being put up on Netflix in batches, right? And I've seen a few of those batches already. I just finished watching it with my brother, and listen, Shaman King was one of my formative anime. Like, I adore Shaman King. I was in high school when it was, coming out. High school? Yeah, probably. 2000, right? I was in high school. It's always been one of my favorite animes, and one of the greatest, I think, tragedies of anime in the 90s is that the way they did it, they kept catching up to the manga, usually really fast. And then they would veer off on like tons and tons of filler so as not to catch up with the manga. And in some cases, it wasn't so much as filler as they just created a whole different like ending for the anime than it was in the manga. And Shaman King is one of those examples, because like at one point, like when this, I think around the time the tournament starts, they just veer off on their own and they do whatever. I don't even remember how that anime ended. They just do their own thing, right? And I didn't read the manga necessarily, but I read parts of it, so I had some idea of what was supposed to happen, and it frustrated me so much that the actual ending in the anime was so completely different. I don't even remember how it ended in the anime. So yeah, I was hoping that somebody would come back and animate the parts of the manga that were missing the first time around, right? And I always thought, oh, maybe they'll come back and do like an OVA or something. You know what I mean? But they never did. And then suddenly, in 2020, they announced they were remaking the whole anime. And I was like, yes, I am up for this. This is good. I get to see the parts of the manga that were never animated, and that made me really excited. Now, before I talk about the anime itself and everything that I like about it and I didn't like about it and everything, I want to start by acknowledging that Shaman King is very problematic. Listen, I'm not making excuses. It was problematic even back in 2000. Like, we knew these things were bad. Like, cultural representation, stereotype, appropriation, it was just... It's not good. I love the anime. Don't get me wrong. I love the anime. I love the manga, but it's very cringe, especially You know, now looking back on it. But it was already cringe back then, right? So it's not one of those things where it's like, it's just our sensibilities now in the present that, of course, when we look back in hindsight, everything is like bad. No, it was bad back then. Okay? Like, trust me, I am Hispanic, and the Hispanic representation in this show is like, on the one hand, one Mexican dude who walks around in a poncho and a sombrero. His name is Peyote and his spirits are cacti. And the other one is like a Peruvian guy whose spirit is a jaguar, because why not? And who's dressed like he's going to Machu Picchu every day. Look, I know. Okay, I'm not defending that. It is not okay. The thing is, I tend to give anime a little bit of latitude in this, and maybe I shouldn't. Like, I get it. I understand people who say this shouldn't have been remade. Yeah, okay, I definitely see that. I am attached to it because I grew up with it, and I have, you know, it's an emotional attachment. It's a nostalgia thing for me, for sure. Absolutely. And maybe children nowadays shouldn't be seeing something like this because it's very offensive. Let's put it like it is. But I tend to give anime a little bit of latitude because I come from a very conservative place as well, and I understand that as much as the world advances, some communities that are very insulated, some nations, some countries that are very insulated and are very kept within their own values and ideas, if they're very conservative, it takes a while. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean we don't fight for progress, right? I want my country to do better in so many things, for sure. Like, if you've ever looked at my Twitter for 1 second, you know I complain about my country a lot, and I want them to do better. And it's the same for Japan, but I, at the same time, understand that change doesn't come overnight. Even if in some places, like in Europe or the United States, the way of thought is a little bit more advanced. It's difficult for these countries that are very insular to change overnight. And you're gonna tell me, it's not overnight, it's been 20 years. Yes, I know, okay? I'm not saying Shaman King is perfect. It's problematic. Like, even within anime, it's problematic. But I tend to give anime a little bit of more, like, slack, because I know the Japanese community in general, not just the anime community, but just Japanese people in general, are very, not necessarily conservative, but I shouldn't say monolithic, that's wrong too, but like they're very culturally homogeneous. Let's put it that way. You don't get a lot of diversity in Japan. You just don't. And because of that, you don't get a lot of diversity in anime either. Like, even when anime tries to introduce, they've been doing better these days. I admit, that's good, it's good that they're progressing, but when I was growing up, they would introduce like diversity in the sense of like, oh, this character has slightly darker skin, and this character has, I don't know, hair of weird colors, and anime is famous for like the strange colored hair, and that's their diversity. But when you look at it, they're all still Japanese. Or, you know, alien, but they don't like represent specific cultures. Through the years, they've gotten better at this, and there have been specific shows that actually deal with the issue of foreigners and people from other cultures and other ethnicities, and have dealt with it more or less okay. Even those that do deal with it better still fall into some trappings. Cowboy Bebop, I'm looking at you. They still fall into some stereotypes, because people in Japan don't interact with people from other cultures and ethnicities all that often, you know, so everything they get from like TV and movies and stuff like that. And I get that it's difficult sometimes, and that they may fall into stereotypes, so I tend to cut them a little slack when it comes to that kind of stuff. The thing with Shaman King is Shaman King, listen, the problem with Shaman King, and look, they tried. Like, I think the thing about this is that usually you can tell when they're like trying. I do appreciate the representation, you know, because again, not many anime actually do this, you know, introduce characters from other cultures. And I appreciate that anime like Shaman King are doing this. I understand people who say that bad and stereotypical representation is worse than no representation. I get it. I don't begrudge anyone who thinks that way. I like to see representation, you know, even if it's terrible. Should Shaman King do better? Of course. The thing with Shaman King is that I don't think they can do better necessarily. I mean, they tried. You know, they tried. The most egregious stuff they tried to fix, like Chocolov's design. They changed it. They removed his lips, which were super offensive. The dub and the subs on Netflix actually changed his name. It's not Chocolov, it's Joko. Which, okay, fine. I mean, they're small changes. I guess they probably matter to the people of those communities, the people in the black community who felt offended the first time around. But that's like the only thing they did. But in a lot of people are saying where it doesn't go far enough, and I get it. Or let me get to my point actually. I think when it comes to Shaman King, you cannot do this anime without those stereotypes. That sounds terrible. I'm so sorry. But like, I think if you strip everything that's wrong with it out of Shaman King, it's not Shaman King anymore. It's just like, even the mere concept of a shaman is like super appropriation-y. I'm sure there are Native Americans watching this like, what the fuck? You know, like everything in this show is super problematic. And look, I get it. It's a nostalgia thing for me. I think I can take out the good while still calling out the bad. You know, and that's what I'm trying to do here. Like, yes, this needs to be fixed. I don't think Shaman King can be fixed. I think you either create it or don't. Like, either it exists or it doesn't, because there's too much to fix. Okay, so I would rather take the representation as poor as it is, as long as there's some kind of, you know, like if I'm watching this with a kid, I'm telling them this is a bad stereotype. You know, it's done for the funnies, and it shouldn't be like that, but that's what it is, and try to explain how it came about. But me as an adult, I can look at it and see, yeah, that's terrible, cringe forever. I still like the show, you know. So it's tough. Look, I'm not saying that's okay, and if somebody had done this manga today, I probably wouldn't have bothered. But this is an old manga. I'm not saying that's an excuse, but it's the reason why I watched it, you know, and the reason why I have nostalgia about it. It's like people who love Gone with the Wind. I'm not saying Shaman King is Gone with the Wind. I am not implying that. That's not what I'm saying. Don't take me out of context. I'm just saying there are things that you just grew up with that you cannot unlove, even when you realize how terrible they are. And Shaman King was bad from the get-go. Like, we all knew this. But, you know, nostalgia is a very powerful thing. Anyway, that said, I'm gonna focus a little bit on the actual anime, the actual adaptation, and not so much in the things that are wrong about it, because again, oh god, it's so problematic. It is so problematic, I can't even. But like, the story itself is not terrible, you know? So I like that. I love the characters, the ones that actually get like an actual personality instead of being a stereotype. I like the characters, I like the story, that and how it was adapted. And I'm really happy that this got a new release. Despite how problematic it is, despite how problematic it still is in the year of our Lord 2021. I think it's a worthy story. You know, I think it's a story worthy of telling it. And, you know, you just have to take those negative things and say, well, when I do it on my own, when I do something like this on my own, I'm gonna do better. And that's what I'm hoping, that by calling out the problematic aspects, someone out there can be the author of the next Shaman King and do better. You know, but I am really happy that they animated this again, that they gave the story that was in the manga a new life, because I really enjoyed that story. And I didn't read the whole thing, but I had a very good idea of where it was going, the characters that appeared. A lot of characters just never even showed up in the first anime. My brother keeps asking about Red Zed and Zeram, and he's like, were these kids even there? And I'm like, I don't remember. I don't think they were, but they're pretty important. I keep telling him, because I already know what's gonna happen, so he has no idea. But I keep telling him, like, yeah, that character's important. You've never heard of them before, but they're important. That character's important. Never heard of them before, but they're important. Like, because I know, right? And it was good seeing those characters, like, actually animated. It was very cool. So the thing about the new anime, and I'm pretty sure if you just Google it superficially, you will find everybody complaining about it, is that the pace is really fast. Like, the first anime was actually really long when you think about it, but the manga's not that long. You know? I'm like, it's just not. And the anime, especially at the beginning, like the first 13 episodes, which were the first batch of episodes that Netflix released, everything felt like it was going really fast. And all the complaints, you know, if you looked it up online, everybody was complaining. Oh no, they ruined Shaman King. Oh no, they're going so fast. It shouldn't be like this. Look, I get it. I get it. I don't disagree necessarily. The first 13 episodes especially, really, really rushed. But the thing is with Shaman King, in the original anime, they would have a fight. Like, Yo would be fighting with Ren, and it would be like 3 episodes long, and I would tune out. Like, I don't like fights. I have mentioned this before, I'm not into it for the fights. And when you have a fight, one single fight that's lasting like 3 episodes, I'm out. Mentally, I'm checked out, right? So I think they were trying to make up for that. And then in the remake, they just like went the entire opposite extreme, where you get like a fight that's only like a quarter of an episode. And it's really fast. And you sort of lose the emotional connection a little bit. So I get why people who might be watching this for the first time will not get as attached as I did, because you lose the character growth that happens a little bit in the fights, right? I get it. Like Ren's arc, for example, seems cut very short. You know, it's like suddenly I'm a murderous little bastard, then I fight Yo. I kind of learned a lesson. I'm not sure what the lesson is, but now we're friends. You know, and it's just funny. It's super funny. So yeah, I get the complaints. I really do get them. But you know what? As we started moving further and towards the section where the original anime diverged from the manga, I actually don't notice the pacing issues anymore. Maybe it's because I don't really care, but like, it works for me. I don't know, like, I felt it really strongly in the first 13 episodes. Everything was just happening so fast. And we were like, my brother and I were like, that took 3 episodes in the anime, in the original anime. And now it's over already. And we noticed that kind of stuff. But now that I'm moving over to the sections that I haven't seen before, I actually quite like them. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if people have changed their minds about it, or if they just gave up after the first batch of episodes dropped on Netflix or something. I'm quite enjoying it now, actually. I think the length of the arc seems fine. It's enough for me to care about the characters that I have to care about, I guess. And the fights are not over long. You do notice at some point, and I don't know if this was like this in the manga. I tend to think not. But there are some fights that they just never show. It's like, you'll see Mikihisa facing off against Nikrom and what's his face? I keep forgetting his name. They're facing off against each other, and then like they're like, Mikihisa calls his spirits, and the next time we see him, he's on the floor bleeding. Like, you know, and it's so funny because they don't show that fight, or like, I don't remember which other fight was like that, but like there's a bunch of those where they like set you up in the beginning, you think we're gonna see the fight, and then we never see the fight. And it's hilarious. But honestly, I prefer that to an overlong fight about characters that I don't even care for. And we do get to see more of those characters that we never got to meet in the first anime. We see more of Yo's parents, we see like his mom. We never got to see his mom in the first time. We got to see her. We didn't get to see her do anything. Now we see a little bit more of her, a little bit more of Ren's family other than his dad and his sister. Like, I had forgotten that Ren actually has a mother, you know? I totally forgot about that. And we see all these characters that we never got to meet in the first thing. Like, the Hanagumi was there, I think, a little bit in the first anime, but they weren't always the best. Like, they didn't really do much of anything. They were just kind of there to, like, look scary. They actually had a fight in this one, and I quite enjoyed that fight, actually. You know, the girl fight. I don't know. I thought it was cute. I really liked it, and I like the evolution of June as well, so I like seeing her fight even if they lost. Like, I still don't understand why, out of all the things that this freaking anime needed to change, Conchi and Punchy was the biggest for me. Like, I do not understand why those things even exist. Give Tamao a better spirit right now. Like, she should not have to deal with that. She's too young to be dealing with that kind of sexual harassment, for serious. So, like, I didn't care about her side of the fight necessarily, because I don't care about Punchy and Conchi, honestly. They're very annoying. But I like what it did for June, even if they lost. And you know, people say it's pandering. I like when the girls fight together. I like it. Call me a bad feminist, I guess. I like it. I enjoy seeing girls team up and back each other up in a fight, even if they're fighting other girls. Because, like, the other girls are scary. So, yeah. I don't know. I like it. And, you know, we see that fight. We see the whole golem thing with Red Sub and Serum. I enjoyed that. I enjoy seeing all these characters that we'd never heard about. We got to see Chocolove's backstory. Yeah, very stereotypical, but at least you get a feeling of who he is better than before. We've seen more of Horohoro's family, his dad, or at least a little bit of his dad, because he was literally, like, only there to, like, make a boat and leave, which I thought was hilarious. My brother was like, wait, he's leaving already? That was so funny. Look, Faust is one of my favorite characters in Shaman King. I think he might be my favorite. I like Horo, but, like, Faust is, like, the coolest, if you ask me. And I like that we've gotten to see more of him. I like that we've got to see more of the X, because they were a big deal, and in the first anime we didn't get far enough for them to become a big deal, but they are a big deal, right? Lizard's turn toward the X-Claws, and then back, I guess, though that hasn't happened in the anime yet, is a big freaking deal, you know? And maybe it happened a little bit too fast in this one, but, you know, I'll take it. I'll take it rather than not, than it not existing, right? We get to see more of the, what's their face, the Samsara? I don't remember their name, sorry. I should have researched, like, I should have a list of all the teams or something. But, you know, the Hindu guys, team, you know, which are, like, the third big power in the tournament or something, because there's, like, Hao, there's the X-Laws, and then there's them, right? And they all have, like, mystical powers and whatever. We didn't, like, they barely made an appearance in the first anime. That it wasn't a thing. So I was glad to see them. I hope they'll be important. I don't remember how big of an impact they had in the manga, but cool. You know, I like them. I could have done a little less peyote. Seriously, there's so much peyote. I don't get it. And he's like the worst stereotype. No, it's not the worst. The Egyptian ones are way worse. But, like, we get to see more of, like, Horohoro's growth. We get to see Team Iceman a lot, which we didn't really get to see a lot in the first anime. I enjoy seeing all these characters, you know, as stereotypical as they are. But most of all, I just want to say that one part of the manga that I did read back when it came out was the Osore-san Revoir arc, you know, because I am a huge Yo and Anna fan, shipper. I love them. Look, I'm not romanticizing like spousal abuse. It's a joke. Okay, it was a thing in the 90s and the 2000s that they did. Tsunderes are very used trope in those years. And I think Osore Sanriwa is good also because it shows us a little bit of a softer side to Anna and a little bit of why they care about each other, even though, you know, she's a bitch most of the time. So I was waiting for that the first time around. I love that arc. I adore that arc. I was sad that we didn't get to see it the first time around, and I'm super hyped that we got to see it this time around. And I think it's only like four episodes. It was perfect. Okay, words cannot describe how happy I am that we got to see that animated. You know how people who have like been reading comics their whole lives felt when the first Marvel movie came to life? You know, like, I'm sure so many people had that feeling. That's me with this. You know, like, I love Osore Sanriwa so much. And for me, like, I will take all the fucking terrible representation, all the cultural appropriation, all the rushed storylines, I will take them as soon as I have those 4 episodes. You know, like, you have no idea how much it meant to me to see that animated and happening in front of my eyes on screen. It was, I love it so much, and it was perfect. It wasn't rushed. They took their time. They did Matamune right, by the way. Like, I mean, he cried a lot, but he did that in the manga too. Like, I don't like characters who cry for no reason, but like, I like Matamune. He's supposed to be that like old poet, old Japanese poet type of spirit, you know? So fine, he cries a lot, but I really felt for him. You know, I felt for him. I felt for Yo having to give Matamune up to save Anna, and I felt for Yo and Anna falling in love basically at 10 years old. That's so annoying. I'm sorry, but yeah, they did, and I understand why they care for each other, and it was just lovely to see that happening on screen. Like, episode 32 killed me. Okay, it wasn't even the last episode of Osore Sanriwa, but like 32 killed me. Just seeing the two of them like interacting at home and Yo making his promise, and now you sort of know why he's putting himself through all of this to become the Shaman King when he normally like is not a very competitive person. You know, like, he wouldn't care normally, but now you know why, because he wants to have, I mean, yeah, he wants to have a life where he doesn't have to do anything, but also for Anna, you know, because he wants her to be happy. And it's just, it was so lovely. I cannot put into words how much I loved seeing that. And just, even if you had given me those 4 episodes alone, like say they had made it into a movie, I would have been happy. Like, I almost didn't need anything else. Just those 4 episodes and I would have been happy. And, you know, if I have to get through a few rushed arcs in order to get there, I'm good with that. It was so beautiful, and man, I love them. I love them. I love that arc. It's so good. And up to now, we're up to episode 38, I think. It's the last batch that Netflix uploaded. And I know there's gonna be 52 episodes, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing the ending, because Shaman King, I'm not gonna spoil it for anyone, but I think Shaman King has such a unique ending. I'm not gonna tell you why, because that would be spoilers, but I think it has such a unique ending that I can't wait to see it animated. And I didn't necessarily read a lot of what led up to that ending, so I don't necessarily know everything that's gonna happen. I can still get some surprises here and there, and I love that. And I do hope they show us not just the ending, but also the epilogue, because there's an epilogue. Sorry, I shouldn't be saying that, but there's an epilogue. I'm not gonna tell you what it's about, but like, I hope we get to see it too, because that's one of my favorite parts. One of my favorite parts of Shaman King. Just the way it ends. It ends so different, because you know, it's some anime, everything the hero wanted, they get. Shaman King is not like that. I'm not gonna say anything more. That's already too much spoiling people. Great, Carla. Anyway, yeah, I can't wait to see the end, and I'm glad that they did remake this. There are some things that annoy me a little bit, like they keep saying mana instead of furyoku, which is very cringe to me. Like, I'm Catholic. Mana sounds unnecessarily religious to me, you know? And I know it's a Final Fantasy thing or whatever, but like, they couldn't have come with another name. What's wrong with furyoku? Just say furyoku. It's fine. We've been doing it for 20 years. Anyway, there are little things that annoy me, even in the new anime, that weren't in the old anime. So yeah, I get it, and I totally get why some people just don't think this should have been made. I understand. For me, it's very much a nostalgia thing. I had something from my childhood that I never got to see on screen, and I really wished I could, and I'm fairly happy. I should say, like, just the art, man. The art is so beautiful. The first Shaman King anime was like very hit and miss with the art. Let's just put it that way. You could see where the budget was starting to run out a lot of the time. The art in this is exquisite, and I have to say it's probably because it's shorter that they managed to save on the budget and like give the animation the boost that it needed. So like, when people complain about it being rushed, I'm like, yeah, but look at it. It looks so much better. And yeah, I know it's a personal decision whether you like the art or you like the story. And normally I would say I prefer story, but like, I also love the art. It's part of the reason why I love the Evangelion movies so much, the rebuild movies. They're just gorgeous. And Shaman King feels like that. It feels updated. It feels new. It feels beautiful. And I really, really like that. Like, I mean, look at that. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? It's so beautiful. So yeah, I don't know. I guess these are controversial opinions or something. But like, I really enjoyed the remake of Shaman King. Rushed or not. You know, like, the parts that they rushed, I didn't care about, so great. I will keep watching. I get why people think it's rushed, but for me, it's not the end of the world, especially because I already seen those parts in the original anime, so I don't need to see them again, thank you. Anyway, I am very glad that this anime is getting a second chance, despite how problematic it is and was originally. I think there are good things to take from this anime. I think it's very strong in its story of friendship, and I know that's kind of silly because all anime is about friendship, probably at some point, like, you know, nakama and stuff. But I think Shaman King is one of the best in that sense, because you can really feel the friendship in these people, and you can really feel that Yo, as lazy as he is, has a moral compass that not just anyone can have. And not just Yo, like, Manta is pretty great as well at doing the right thing. Anna is pretty great as well at doing the right thing. And then you have Hao, who is freaking super intimidating, an awful villain, but he is an example of what I like to think of as a villain who you can understand, but it doesn't excuse anything, so you know they're evil. Like, Hao, for me, is one of the best villains I've seen in anime, because he's freaking psycho, okay? He's super evil, but you can kind of see why. And it's not an excuse. He's not asking you to, like, love him. You know, the show is not asking you to love him. The show makes it very clear that he's the bad guy. He's always gonna be the bad guy. And even in the end, they don't, like, turn him good. Which is, I guess it's a bit of a spoiler, but, like, he remains that way throughout, but he can do small things that are good because he can, you know. Not necessarily because he cares, and maybe he does care a little bit, but like, he's not a good guy. He's never a good guy. He never becomes a good guy, and I like that. I like that they don't make excuses for him, because for every Hao that you have an Anna who went through the same thing and did not become a psychopath. I mean, she has a bit of a loose hand, but that's for the funnies, I guess. You know, yay, spousal abuse. This show. Anyway, you have that juxtaposition, so you know that it's not like, oh, Hao had no choice but to become evil, and you know, it's not his fault, it's the world's fault. No, he had a choice. He had a choice. He just chose wrong. But he's still super intimidating. He's super interesting. I love learning how thinks. So like, I love that we get to see a little bit more of that too. And I can't wait to see where this goes. I am so glad that they reanimated this. You know, they remade this. I look, people complain about anime in Netflix. I'm very glad to have this. You know, I'm very glad to have this one. I can't wait to see how it ends. Probably within like 2 months they should have like the last batch or something, and I may come back if it's done well. I may come back and talk about the ending. But in the meantime, I just wanted to say I'm really glad that this anime is back. As problematic as it is, I still love it. I still enjoy it a lot, and it's a nostalgic thing from my childhood that I never got to see, and the feeling of seeing these things that I never got to see but I knew existed, and I never got to see them animated, the feeling of seeing them animated now is incredible. And I'm very happy, and I thank Netflix for this, or you know, whoever it is in Japan who's making this anime. I'm very glad they came back. They brought it back. And sure, I think there are some disclaimers that need to be made for like the new fans and the old fans and the people who have realized since then how problematic it is. Yes, it is. But underneath it all, I think there's a good story. There is a diversity that is really not seen a lot in anime, and just these characters just tug at your heart. Okay, they're all very like out there. They don't feel like real people necessarily, but you can see kernels of real decision making underneath their, you know, appearance and attitude. And I think you can relate to that. So yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to say about the new Shaman King remake. Again, if the last few episodes are uploaded soonish and I like them, I'll be back to talk about them. But in the meantime, tell me what you think. Are you watching the Shaman King remake? Did you watch the Shaman King, the original one? If you watched both, do you think the remake is doing better or doing worse? Like, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments. And while you're down there, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you like my stuff, please subscribe to my channel. I'm always happy to see people sharing and liking and commenting and subscribing. It really does help me a lot. You can find me on social media. I am on Twitter and Instagram at girlsareweird with underscores between the words, and on Tumblr at girlsareweird with hyphens between the words. You can find a Facebook page for this vlog at facebook.com/FreakingNarnia. And as usual, be sure to visit my main website for this vlog at FreakingNarnia.com/vlog. That's VLOG, where all my videos are uploaded. If you missed any, check it out. I've been vlogging a lot about Young Royals because I'm kind of obsessed with that show still. I may come up with a new Young Royals video sometime soon. I just finished reading Red, White, and Royal Blue, so probably my next video will be some kind of review of that. I'm still processing, so I don't want to say anything about it yet, but like, probably will come back with a review of that book. And I will probably come back with more Young Royals stuff. Like, they're filming right now, so we might get some behind the scenes stuff that I will have to talk about because I'm obsessed with with that show. What can I say? Anyway, I hope you like this. Also remember that I have a Redbubble store where I make art based on my favorite quotes from my favorite fandoms. It hasn't been updated in a while. I really have to go back to that. But you know, my old stuff is in there. So be sure to check it out and maybe purchase something if you're in the mood. It really does help me a lot. You can use the art to print on like different kinds of merch, like coffee cups and computer covers and mouse pads and hoodies and masks. There's a lot of stuff in there that you can do. So be sure to check it out. Oh, also remember that if you want to have these vlog episodes from Talks from Freaking Narnia as podcasts, then what you want to do is you want to subscribe to my Patreon page. For a very small sum of money every month, you get access to these videos as audio-only podcasts on the same day they go up on YouTube. So be sure to check that out. Also, I have different tiers over there, so in a higher tier you get access to like extra videos I might do a Shaman King one. I was contemplating maybe doing like a a ranking of like, you know, wishes that people want to make when they become the Shaman King, like goals they have, a ranking of the good ones versus the bad ones. Something like that. If you're interested, let me know in a comment. But like, I have tons of other extra videos in there that don't get to see the light of day on YouTube. So if you're interested, go there, subscribe. And if subscriptions are not your thing, you can also just donate via my Ko-fi page. All the links are down in the description, but the Ko-fi page is just like a one-off thing. You donate something like $5 or something, and make a note in the donation of which extra video you want to see, and I will get back to you with a link soon, ish, hopefully. So yeah, stay tuned and listen in my episodes as to what extra videos there are out there. I'm also watching some other anime, like I just finished watching Fena Pirate Princess, which just the name alone is kind of funny. That was a weird anime. Okay, I mean, I didn't hate it, but like, what did I just watch was kind of the general consensus at the end. And I'm watching Parasite now, so I don't know. If I like any of them, I'll be back with a video. In the meantime, I think that's about everything I had to say for today. I will see you guys next time with another video from all the way in freaking Narnia. Bye! Not many animes actually do this. Some people out there can be the next author of Shaman King and do better. You know? It doesn't have to be all the cultural no, I mean, I get why people don't. I've been videoing a lot about